the first budget of Modi 3.0. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman makes history with 7th consecutive budget.
वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण.
Honorable Speaker, I present the budget for 24-25.
The government lists 9 priorities. The focus is on 4 different sections: the poor, women, youth and the farmers. The Union Budget 2024-25 lays out a comprehensive plan for achieving a Viksit Bharat.
इस बजट का एक बहुत बड़ा फोकस देश के किसान है. अन्न भंडारण के लिए दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी स्कीम के बाद अब हम वेजिटेबल प्रोडक्शन क्लस्टर्स बनाने जा रहे हैं. इससे एक और छोटे किसानों को फल, सब्जियों, अन्य उपज के लिए नए बाजार मिलेंगे, बेहतर दाम मिलेंगे. तो दूसरी ओर हमारे मध्यम वर्ग के लिए फल, सब्जियों की उपलब्धता बढ़ेगी और परिवार के लिए पोषण भी सुनिश्चित होगा. कृषि क्षेत्र में भारत का आत्मनिर्भर बनना समय की मांग है. इसलिए दलहन, तिलहन की पैदावार बढ़ाने के लिए किसानों को मदद की घोषणा की गई है.
Hello and welcome viewers. You're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV on Union Budget 2024-25. Vikas Bhi, Virasat Bhi. The budget listed 9 priorities, and in this edition, we'll analyze all these 9 priorities and the impact of these priorities on citizens of India. So come along.
Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
The people of India have reposed their faith in the government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and re-elected it for a historic 3rd term under his leadership.
भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा.
The government is determined to ensure that all Indians, regardless of religion, caste, gender and age, make substantial progress in realizing their life goals and aspirations. The global economy, while performing better than expected, is still in the grip of policy uncertainties. Elevated asset prices, political uncertainties and shipping disruptions continue to pose significant downside risks for growth and upside risks to inflation. In this context, India's economic growth continues to be shining exception and will remain so in the years ahead. India's inflation continues to be low, stable and moving towards the 4% target.
The global economy, while performing better than expected, is still in the grip of policy uncertainties. Elevated asset prices, political uncertainties and shipping disruptions continue to pose significant downside risks for growth and upside risks to inflation. In this context, India's economic growth continues to be the shining exception and will remain so in the years ahead.
As mentioned in the interim budget, the government's focus is on 4 major sections, namely Garib or poor, Mahilaएं or women, Yuva or youth, and Annadata or farmer. For Annadata, the government announced higher minimum support prices a month ago for all major crops, delivering on the promise of at least 50% margin over costs. Pradhan Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana was extended for 5 years, benefiting more than 80 crore people. Turning attention to the full year and beyond, in this budget, the government particularly focused on employment, skilling, MSMEs and the middle class. The people have given a unique opportunity to the government to take the country on the path of strong development and all-round prosperity. In the interim budget, the government promised to present a detailed roadmap for pursuit of Viksit Bharat. In line with the strategy set out in the interim budget, this year's budget envisages sustained efforts on 9 priorities for generating ample opportunities for all. The first priority is productivity and resilience in agriculture. That includes transforming agricultural research. The government will undertake a comprehensive review of the agriculture research setup to bring the focus on raising productivity and developing climate-resilient varieties. Release of new varieties. New 109 high-yielding and climate-resilient varieties of 32 field and horticulture crops will be released. Natural farming. In the next 2 years, 1 crore farmers across the country will be initiated into natural farming, supported by certification and branding. Missions for pulses and oilseeds. For achieving self-sufficiency in pulses and oilseeds, the government will strengthen their production, storage and marketing. Vegetable production and supply chains. Large-scale clusters for vegetable production will be developed closer to major consumption centers. The government will promote farmer-producer organizations, cooperatives and startups for vegetable supply chains. Digital public infrastructure for agriculture. Buoyed by the success of the pilot project, the government, in partnership with the states, will facilitate the implementation of the digital public infrastructure in agriculture for coverage of farmers and their lands in 3 years. Shrimp production and export. Financial support for setting up a network of nucleus breeding centers for shrimp rootstocks will be provided. National cooperation policy. The government will bring out a national cooperation policy for systematic, orderly and all-round development of the cooperative sector. The second priority is employment and skilling. The government will implement 3 schemes for employment-linked incentives as part of Prime Minister's package. The first scheme will be for first-timers. This scheme will provide 1 month wage to all persons newly entering the workforce in all formal sectors. Scheme B, that is job creation in manufacturing sector. This scheme will incentivize additional employment in manufacturing sector linked to employment of first-time employees. Scheme C, support to employees. This employer-focused scheme will cover additional employment in all sectors. All additional employment within a salary of 1 lakh per month will be counted. The government will reimburse to employers up to 3,000 per month for 2 years towards their EPFO contribution. Participation of women in the workforce. The government will facilitate higher participation of women in workforce through setting up of working women hostels in collaboration with industry and establishing creches. Skilling program. The government has announced a new centrally sponsored scheme as the 4th scheme under the Prime Minister's package for skilling in collaboration with state governments and industry. 20 lakh youth will be skilled over a 5-year period. Skilling loans. The model skill loan scheme will be revised to facilitate loans up to 7.5 lakh with a guarantee from the government promoted fund. Educational loans. For helping our youth who have not been eligible for any benefit under government schemes and policies, the government has announced a financial support for loan up to 10 lakh for higher education in domestic institutions. The third priority is inclusive human resource development and social justice. Implementation of schemes meant for supporting economic activities by craftsmen, artisans, self-help groups, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and women entrepreneurs and street vendors such as PM Vishwakarma, PM Swanidhi, National Livelihood Missions, and Stand Up India will be stepped up. Purvodaya. The states in the eastern part of the country are rich in endowments and have strong cultural traditions. The government will formulate a plan, Purvodaya, for all-round development of eastern region of the country, covering Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. Pradhanmantri Janjatiya Unnat Gram Abhiyan for improving the socio-economic condition of tribal communities. The government will launch Pradhanmantri Janjati Unnat Gram Abhiyan by adopting saturation coverage for tribal families in tribal majority villages and aspirational districts. This will cover 63,000 villages benefiting 5 crore tribal people. Bank branches in northeastern regions. More than 100 branches of India Post Payment Bank will be set up in the northeastern region to expand the banking services. The fourth priority is manufacturing and services. This budget provides special attention to MSMEs and manufacturing, particularly labor-intensive manufacturing. For facilitating the term loans to MSMEs for purchase of machinery and equipment without collateral or third-party guarantee, a credit guarantee scheme will be introduced. Public sector banks will build their in-house capability to assess MSMEs for credit instead of relying on external assessment. Credit availability will be supported through a guarantee from a government-promoted fund. The limit of mudra loans will be enhanced to 20 lakh from the current 10 lakh for those entrepreneurs who have availed and successfully repaid previous loans under the Tarun category. To enable MSMEs and traditional artisans to sell their products in international markets, e-commerce export hubs will be set up in public-private partnership mode. The government will facilitate development of investment-ready, plug-and-play industrial parks with complete infrastructure. 12 industrial parks under the National Industrial Corridor Development Programme will also be sanctioned. Rental housing with dormitory-type accommodation for industrial workers will be facilitated. Fifth priority is urban development. Working with states, the government will facilitate development of cities as growth hubs. This will be achieved through economic and transit planning and orderly development of peri-urban areas utilizing town planning schemes. For creative brownfield redevelopment of existing cities with a transformative impact, the government will formulate a framework for enabling policies, market-based mechanisms and regulation. Transit-oriented development plans for 14 large cities with a population of above 30 lakh will be formulated. Under PM Awas Yojana Urban 2.0, housing needs of 1 crore urban poor and middle-class families will be addressed with an investment of 10 lakh crore. In partnership with the state governments and multilateral development banks, the government will promote water supply, sewage treatment and solid waste management projects. Building on the success of PM Swanidhi scheme in transforming the lives of street vendors, the government envisions a scheme to support each year over the next 5 years. The government will encourage states which continue to charge high stamp duty to moderate the rates for all. The sixth priority is energy security. In line with the announcement in the interim budget, PM Saur Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana has been launched to install rooftop solar plants to enable 1 crore households to obtain free electricity up to 300 units every month. A policy for promoting pumped storage projects will be brought for electricity storage and facilitating smooth integration of the growing share of renewable energy. Research and development of small and modular nuclear reactors. Towards that pursuit, the government will partner with private sector for setting up small reactors, research and development of small modular reactors and newer technologies for nuclear energy. The development of indigenous technology for advanced ultra-supercritical thermal power plants. A roadmap for moving the hard-to-abate industries from energy efficiency targets to emission targets will be formulated. Seventh priority is infrastructure. Significant investment by the central government has been made over the years in building and improving infrastructure. The endeavour is to maintain strong fiscal support for infrastructure over the next 5 years, in conjunction with imperatives of other priorities and fiscal consolidation. The government will encourage states to provide support of similar scale for infrastructure subject to their development priorities. Investment in infrastructure by private sector will be promoted through viability gap funding and enabling policies and regulations. Phase 4 of Pradhanmantri Gram Sadak Yojana will be launched to provide all-weather connectivity to 25,000 rural habitations. Bihar has frequently suffered from floods. Plans to build flood control structures in Nepal are yet to progress. The government, through the Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program and other sources, will provide financial support for projects with estimated cost of 11,500 crore, such as the Kosi-Mechi intra-state link. Similar assistance will be provided to Assam, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Sikkim. Tourism has always been a part of our civilization. The efforts of the government in positioning India as a global tourist destination will also create jobs, stimulate investments and unlock economic opportunities. Priority 8th is innovation, research and development. The government will operationalize the Anusandhan National Research Fund for basic research and prototype development. For space economy, with a continued emphasis on expanding the space economy by 5 times in the next 10 years, a venture capital fund of 1,000 crore will be set up. Priority 9th, next generation reforms. Economic policy framework. The government will formulate an economic policy framework to delineate the overarching approach to economic development and set the scope of next generation of reforms. The government will develop a taxonomy for climate finance for enhancing the availability of capital for climate adoption and mitigation. The government will seek the required legislative approval for providing an efficient and flexible mode for financing, leasing of aircraft, shipping, and pool funds or private equity through a variable company structure. The rules and regulations for foreign direct investment and overseas investments will be simplified. NPS Vatsalya, a plan for contribution by parents and guardians for minors, will be started. The government will successfully use technology for improving productivity and bridging inequality in our economy for enhancing ease of doing business. The government is already working on Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0. Further, states will be incentivized for implementation of their business reforms and action plans and digitization. Well, viewers, that's all I had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye for now from my side.